tired of the lies they spin. They're feeding us poison, where do I begin? Every headline feels like a sin. Oh, it's a game we're stuck in, can't win. Barack signed the papers, gave them the key. NDAA took our truth, can't you see? Smith mind shadow, it's haunting me. Propaganda flows like a dark raging sea. They twist the words, make us blind. Realities are lost in their cruel grind. Who's telling the truth? Man, it's hard to find. In this media maze, we're all confined. We're rising up, can't take no more. Truth on our lips, it's time to roar. No more shadows, we'll break free. With every heartbeat, we'll make them see. Together we'll stand united and bold. No more lies, let the story be told. In this fight for truth, we'll find our way. We'll light the dark, bring a brand new day. I'm screaming loud, but no one hears. Drowning in cycles of our own fears. The truth's a ghost, shedding bitter tears. Oh, the anger rises, it's been years. So I'll sing my blues, let the world know. Fight for the truth, let the fire grow. We're breaking the chains, it's time to show. We won't be silenced, we'll steal the show. In the silence, hear the cries, voices echo, breaking tide. Every tear, a story untold. In the ashes, we rise bold. No more whispers, we shout loud. Together strong, we're a fierce crowd. With every step, we take the stand, fighting for truth. Hand in hand, let the walls shake, let the truth ring. We'll write the lyrics, let freedom sing. From the shadows, we'll break away. In this moment, we'll seize the day. We're rising up, can't take no more. Truth on our lips, it's time to roar. No more shadows, we'll break free. With every heartbeat, we'll make them see. Together we'll stand united and bold. No more lies, let the story be told. In this fight for truth, we'll find our way. We'll light the dark, bring a brand new day.
Clock screams, but I hit snooze. Mind's already wandering through the news. Sanctions, tariffs, wars overseas. Lord, there's too much coming at me. Dog's looking at me like she knows the drill. Coffee's getting cold on the windowsill. Too much noise bouncing around in my head. My focus needs more focus instead. My focus needs more focus. My brain ain't booted up. Got 17 thoughts going and an empty coffee cup. I know where I'm going, just can't find the road quite right. A little 818 headband. Somebody turned on the light. The world's gone sideways, upside down. The rich man smiles while the poor man frowns. Everybody's yelling, nobody hears. Truth gets buried underneath the fear. I ain't trying to hide from what's going on. Just need the static, turn down some. Clear out the clutter, let the chatter fade. Find that little path through all the haze. My focus needs more focus. My brain ain't booted up. Got 17 thoughts going and an empty coffee cup. I know where I'm going, just can't find the road quite right. A little 818 headband. Somebody turned on the light. I ain't running, I ain't checking out. I'm trying to hear what matters through the noise and doubt. Slow it down, breathe it in, let the nonsense go. Sometimes you gotta clear your head before you know what you know. My focus needed focus. Now the picture's coming clear. Still 17 things going, but at least I know why they're here. Got a podcast waiting and a whole damn world to get right. A little 818 headband. Somebody turned on the light. Yeah, my focus need more focus. That's what I've been trying to say. First I gotta find my focus, and we'll straighten out the world today.
They stopped it. Every public school in America is now on notice that if they tell a child that they're trapped in the wrong body, they are committing child abuse. And as we remove the far left extremism from the classroom, we're taking historic action to ensure that every child in America has access to a first-class education. They stopped it. Every public school in America is now on notice that if they tell a child that they're trapped in the wrong body, they are committing child abuse.
I can leave that on repeat for the whole show. Okay. And you want to know what? I could be happy with that. I could absolutely be happy with that one statement. You fuck with the kids, you're committing child abuse, and you will be punished. It's that simple. It really is. It is that simple. Yeah, I said it. I said it. I said it. Do I need to say it again? If you fuck with the children, you're going to be consequences. Stop messing with our children. We ain't having it. No more. No more. No more. Yeah, I said it. I said it. Yeah. Operation Last Call. Yeah, this is a big one here. Let's go here. All right. Operation Last Call efforts results in arrests of 44 for illegal firearms and narcotic offenses. That's right. Last Call was a 5-day-long arrest operation in Nashville, Tennessee that combined law enforcement efforts of U.S. Attorney of the Middle District of Tennessee, the ATF, U.S. Marshals, and the Metro Nashville PD to target illegal firearms and narcotics trafficking in Nashville hotspots. In addition to dozens of arrests, this operation seized the following from Nashville streets: over 160 firearms, many of them assault-style rifles equipped with high-capacity magazines, multiple switches or machine gun conversion devices, which are illegal add-ons that turn pistols into machine guns, over 2 kilos of methamphetamines, over 1 kilogram of fentanyl, and over half a kilogram quantities of powder cocaine and crack. Yeah, they got all that. Oh, yeah. I'm just saying. These kids don't know when to stop, do they? All right, let's get up to the top. Get and jump over here and jump into there. There we go. All right. Well, what do we have here? Said Melissa Redpill. John Brennan's security company was busted. What? How could that be? That. Oh, Lord. Here we go.
Here's a story time forgot. Remember when John Brennan, Obama's CIA director, the mastermind of the Russiagate hoax to get Trump, remember when John Brennan's security company was caught messing with Obama's passport files at the State Department months before the general election? And a lieutenant cooperating with federal investigators about passport fraud at the State Department was shot dead in his car 1 month later? And then a few years later, after an appropriate amount of time passes so we could forget this, Obama announced John Brennan as a CIA director. Do you remember this story? I do. Let me take you back to March 2008. The State Department reported, quote, unauthorized access to passport files of then candidates Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and John McCain. The breach involved 3 contract employees who accessed sensitive records, including names, dates of birth, and passport numbers. The State Department panicked and quickly explained the incidents were merely the results of imprudent curiosity. They didn't want you to know that one of the file burglars who breached the State Department for Obama's passport worked for a security company named the Analysis Corporation, known as TAC. The CEO of TAC? None other than John O. Brennan. These details came out, but the State Department and the media quickly swept it under the rug. It gets better. Don't laugh, but at this exact time, John Brennan was an advisor to the Obama campaign. So, the advisor to the Obama campaign, right around the time everyone was asking about Obama's mysterious origins, has an employee breaking into the State Department and accessing Obama's passport files. So what was TAC doing, sneaking around and messing with Obama's passport? Removing evidence? Of what? Was it the fact that Obama was in and out of Pakistan at the exact time period that John Brennan was in Pakistan, working for the CIA? The documentation on that is pretty compelling. You see, no one seemed to remember where Obama was from 1981 to 1982. Obama claims he was at Columbia University, but we do not have a shred of confirmed real evidence that he was. No records, no school documentation. And get this, shortly after the State Department breach, Obama had to admit that he did, in fact, travel to Pakistan in 1981. Astute observers noticed that not only was John Brennan working for the CIA in Pakistan, but another CIA name, Brzezinski. That's right, Mika Brzezinski's dad. He was there too. 26 years after Obama seems to have been in Pakistan at the same time Brzezinski and Brennan were, Obama nominates both of these men to be on his presidential campaign advisory team. As our friends at Conservative Treehouse point out, what are the odds? Adding to the intrigue, a key witness in a related federal probe, Lieutenant Quarles Harris Jr. was fatally shot in his car in Washington, D.C. 1 month after this story broke. Harris had been cooperating with investigators regarding passport information and fraud allegedly obtained from a State Department co-conspirator. His murder remains unsolved. To this day, no direct link has been established, but the timing and the topic has raised questions, to put it mildly. Brennan, after being caught in the scandal of breaking into the State Department and messing with Obama's passport files, is duly rewarded, remember? Brennan becomes Obama's CIA chief. To use Obama's exact words, Brennan had Obama's complete trust. The rest is history. I've been on this Brennan track a long time. For a while, it felt like there were just a handful of us who knew the ramifications of this story if fully unfurled. We were, of course, punished for covering such stories over the years. Here at OAN, we're Exhibit 1. We told the truth, we were over the target, and powerful people used every kill switch in the book to discredit us. But we were right, and we knew it from the very beginning. And if you listened, you also knew. Now, the FBI says they're launching an investigation into Brennan. Huzzah! At long last. Unfortunately, it feels very much like a necessary distraction from the PR disaster that is the Epstein story. Since when does the CIA and the DOJ ever get all transparent and announce that they're working on an investigation? I wish I could say their motives were pure. But then again, God has a sense of humor. In that, I have faith. And you should too. Justice comes for all. It must.
All right. I need you to give me a minute. I got to switch screens. I got to swap screens. Let's see. Do this all over again because everything's going to be on the other screen now. And there we go. All right, we're back with it. All right, very good. Okay, up next, U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer explains how trade negotiations with Canada fell apart. Unfortunately, Praying Medic let this be about 11 and a half minutes long, and I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. But here's some more President Trump.
But from the very beginning of our country, Americans have understood that there's no job more important than teaching our children to become happy, healthy, proud, productive, and flourishing citizens. And unfortunately, in the 4 years I took office, and since I took office, our educational system itself was really, it was incredibly, before I got here, it was weaponized like everything else in our government. Everything was weaponized against the goals that we all stand for. And under the last administration, extreme ideologies such as critical race theory and transgender insanity were forced upon our children as young as 4 and 5 years old. Transgender didn't work. Students were taught that our heroes are villains. The FBI was used to target patriotic parents at school board meetings. And meanwhile, far too many government-run schools failed at the basics. And you just have to look at the charts. They were failing at a thing called education, with only 30% of in reading and math. That was under the last administration. Under the Trump administration, we're systematically ending every single one of these radical left betrayals, and we're putting the parents back in charge. They're the ones that love our children. They're the ones that should be in charge.
Yep. Parents, take your stuff back. The American meltdown.
There was a recent apocalypse in America, but it's not talked about much. In Ashfall, Nebraska, there is a fossil bed of animals completely preserved in ash. Supposedly, a single volcano in Idaho covered everything in ash from there to Mexico. Volcanoes were used for geothermal power plants similar to the California Geysers power plant. They pump water into a geothermal hotspot and it produces steam energy. This water literally creates earthquakes. There are underground rivers. There are underground lakes and oceans. They tap into these geothermal chambers to tap into supercritical water. Supercritical water moves like gas and dissolves rocks. It lowers their melting point. People used it to generate clean energy. They claim this is a natural structure, but it was infrastructure for geothermal energy harvesting. Notice how we have all these massive volcanic craters near these water sources. Mount Babel, Canada is one of these examples. The Tower of Babel was a radio or frequency tower. There are dozens along the Mississippi alone. Look, they were part of the motherboard that melted down. Also, in places like Mexico and China, there are streams of mercury under these grids. Mercury can transmit radio signals and create cymatic patterns. Architecture is solid music or cymatics. Cymatics also generate heat. Every building played its part in regulating the flow of energy. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a CME that started the frying of the grid. The grid that some people call Tartaria melted down. Geothermal, hydroelectric, and ethereal energy powered these towers. As the grid broke down, it created this volcanism that changed the atmospheric pressure. Lower atmospheric pressure reduces the melting point of objects. The cymatic and geothermal energy combined with the low pressure melted the landscape. This is not a mountain, this is a structure. We see this all over the world. It was a worldwide grid. This is not carved. This is ornate detailing. Nobody carved this and then made it unlevel. These are structures. Small pockets survived. There are many stories of people going underground to survive an apocalypse. America has the biggest cave systems on Earth, and there is a labyrinth underneath most cities. Supposedly these animals were covered in feet of ash. Look at the distance from the surface. But there are human footprints in ash in Nicaragua and Mexico that have been found. It only took 90 hours for a major stratum deposit in Bishop, California. This is all a rapid deposit right near Crowley Lake. So we see some things are buried rapidly, and this is all over the world. Look, and these craters are all over the world. A lot of what people call rock formations are actually part of the old infrastructure. Look, see? And obviously many people were prepared for the cataclysms. They always give you far out dating for these events, but dendrochronology, carbon dating, uranium dating, etc., they're all flawed. Look, if you factor in mass flooding, carbon dating is not reliable. The geothermal event of 1816 wasn't even that long ago. This was part of a more recent reset in conjunction with the new Madrid quakes. And these events basically cause above and below ground landslides and tsunamis. And there was an ongoing world war or series of world wars at the same time. This is the loop of reset wars. You get a natural collapse, you get wars on both sides of that collapse, then you get repopulation and indoctrination.
Yeah, how about that? Just saying, there's a lot of strange stuff going on. True Stormy Joe, here we go.
Okay, Bill Clinton, Eagle Comms. Let's get into it. So it starts here, Q180, dated November 21st, 2017. What U.S. president was nicknamed Eagle by the United States Secret Service? Fly, Eagles, fly, Q. And then on my Twitter, I noticed this strange story of a big bear bald eagle named Jackie who died on August 10th. And I forwarded out that story, attached the Bill Clinton pop-up, and I said, all I see is eagle dies. Now, on Absolute Storm, we were tracking a separate story about, this was when Donald Trump did the old switcheroo with the plane, and the press was dragging him all over the place on, oh my goodness, he switched planes without telling anybody. Oh, lo and behold, yeah, Billy Clinton did that maneuver as well. Okay, did a switcheroo with the planes and the truck and all that type of thing. Okay, so we were tracking on August 11th a couple different avenues of why we were looking at Bill Clinton as coming up as something in the code. So this was us on the show on August 11th, episode 263, laying out about the Jackie Bald Eagle story. And Kim Sachs added, hey, this story came out August 10th, as I showed on my Twitter, but there was an August 11th Delta for Iron Eagle. So another connection, and it kind of overlapped both the stories that we were talking about. Iron Eagle is also a jet, the movie Iron Eagle. So we had the Clinton plane story, and then this bald eagle passing away story, and we put them side by side and talked about this particular Q180. Fly Eagles Fly. Bill Clinton is the Secret Service code name is Eagle. So we were posting all this and talking about all this tracking 2 weeks ago. Okay. Now we started to get really obvious QComs with the race. Okay. The track was 1.7 miles. The cars go up to 170 miles an hour. Then we supposedly had POTUS roll out and wave the green flag around 117. Okay, so there was all this leading up to what's going on. There's comms here built into the race that we got to pay attention to. That same day, on August 23rd of the race, we get this report: Hillary Clinton is planning Bill Clinton's funeral as the 80-year-old ex-president's health concerns to mount. And Absolute says, oh, that sounds really familiar. Q2725, chatter: Bill and Hillary's public health will rapidly deteriorate. This is race day that we're getting this story. Okay. Separately, on Absolute Storm, you got to kind of look at things from a different angle. So we got dog comms heavily in some of these other checkouts by different people. The most famous one was John McCain's exit. Okay. And we've already connected the story of we're tracking Bill Clinton with his United States Secret Service code name. So on Absolute Storm, on our patriotic performances, we showed this from the United States Secret Service, this dog Hogan, who patrols the White House with his handler, and they tag National Dog Month. Okay. The day before the race, they come back out with it with a little different spin. But meet Hogan. Okay. Bomb Detective Canine, White House, Protective Mission, National Dog Month. So we had the Secret Service, the White House, Protection Mission, National Dog Month coming back into the fold again, day before the race. Okay, then we have Dan puts up a video from the race with a handler and flies this eagle around the track. Okay. Leon Eskew puts this together and says eagle and handler 4574. This is Bill Clinton on a plane with Rachel Chandler. And her nickname was Child Handler. And that's how they came up with the name Chandler for her. Child Handler, Rachel Chandler. Okay. The bird, his name is Lincoln. And the organization Handlers travel from American Eagle Foundation, Kodak, Tennessee. The event was pre-race to the song God Bless America. Okay. So that's what Leon Eskew is connecting here. But really, really solid, like unbelievable hits all the way around the horn here is Dan posting the handler, the eagle. He writes, I want to fly like an eagle. That same Q180 that we started this whole thing right here has Fly Eagles Fly, and that sentence about Bill Clinton's code name is Eagle, and this is all the same day on August 23rd, Payne 23, that we're getting the news that Hillary allegedly is planning Bill's funeral. So to go around the horn, all the clues that we picked up on August 10th and we showed on the show August 11th, Eagle, Dead Eagle, Q180, what U.S. president is nicknamed Eagle by the United States Secret Service, Fly Eagles Fly, comes absolutely full circle in a perfect way with Dan, the race, all the codes that we said to look for. Dan, I want to fly like an eagle on pane 23, August 23rd, hits the same exact cue as we were pointing to here on August 11th and my Twitter on August 10th. Wonder if something will happen 30 days from that time period, because that was a 30-day window that they gave us on the comms with the dog comms and everything around. Every dog has its day with McCain's checkout. But here it all is, full circle. The report on the 23rd, Hillary is planning Bill's funeral as his health concerns mount. Fly, Eagles, fly. What U.S. president nicknamed Eagle by the United States Secret Service? Everything that we pointed to 2 weeks ago came in a perfect way, perfect circle, like an eagle circling over the track. God bless. We'll see you on Absolute Storm.
All right. Hey, it was a great take right there. Yeah. It's great job, young man. Great job. All right. So, Evan, Enes Kanter, Freedom, just dropped Pure Truth on Fox News. Let's go for it.
Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and it feels like they've actually gone in the opposite direction. So whether or not they're willing to actually save their own sport kind of still remains to be seen. Are you surprised more of them aren't standing up for women and women's sports?
Well, I wish they did, but this is a movement. I'm not only out there fighting by myself. I had, so far I had conversation with 2 former NBA players, 3 European players and 3 G League players. They have no idea. The WNBA had no idea what they are about to face. They're still trying to figure out what a woman is. So let's see if they can figure that out. So let's see what kind of rules that they're going to come up with.
You are no stranger to standing up and speaking up whenever you feel like your beliefs are challenged. You have called out human rights atrocities for many years. You've been a voice for the voiceless in Turkey, in China, in Russia, Iran, North Korea, Venezuela, the Middle East. Most people in your position would stay away from anything controversial, but you have actually leaned into it, which is interesting.
Well, I feel like God gave me this huge platform, and I'm trying to use this platform to be the voice of all those innocent people out there who don't have a voice. I mean, that was my goal. So this is literally God's work.
There actually has been a very high cost to you for this. I mean, You have been kind of cut off from your family, right? You have faced arrest warrants, death threats. You have probably given up millions of dollars for directly going after the NBA. Do you look back at all of these things and say it's worth it?
Well, freedom is not free, and it comes with a sacrifice. I mean, I haven't seen my family almost 14 years now. And because of, I wanted to stand up for all the, human rights abuse happening in China. I mean, they kicked me out of the league when I was 29 years old, and that cost me around $45 to $50 million.
Are you prepared for what may happen based on the fact that now you have gone after the WNBA? Because I'm sure there's probably people coming for you now too.
I mean, I only fear God and God only. Everyone bleed like me. So I know this is God's work, and I'm not going to give up. And I have no regrets, because whenever I sit down with all these families, I just had a basketball camp in New York. And I remember all the families were coming up to me and saying, thank you. We would like to thank you for what you're doing for our daughter. We are having these basketball camps. And after the basketball camps, we are all sitting down on the basketball court, and we're talking about why freedom is so important and so fragile, why we should care about our rights in America, why we should care about democracy. And it's been amazing because now all these kids obviously asking me questions about so many things, because unfortunately, many of them is being brainwashed by many apps out there, like a TikTok or many other apps out there. But I think once we sit down and have these conversations, they appreciate America more. They appreciate this country more, just like my teammates. I remember one time I walked into locker room, and all my teammates were criticizing America. They were saying, oh my God, America is so trash. America is horrible. I walk in the locker room, I'm like, guys, our season is about to be over. Whenever our season over, I'm going to buy you first class tickets. Let's go to some of these countries out there like China, like Russia, like Iran, like Turkey, like North Korea. Forget about calling those governments a trash. You criticize those governments, you and your family members will be jailed to death. So people have no idea how blessed we are in this country.
Well, Nas, this has been fun, but we have a basketball court here, so I think maybe we should test out the theory that you're ready for the WNBA
So I
draft.
can show the whole world.
Let's go see what you got.
Yes.
All right, but in real life,
Okay. Oh.
Let me ask you this though, Ines. So whenever you look at the WNBA, Sophie Cunningham, I think, has been so amazing. She's gotten so many people behind her. All these young girls are looking up to her, but she's gotten a lot of heat for being willing to speak out about something like you are right now. 73% of Americans, though, agree that biological men should not be playing against women. There have to be other women in the WNBA who feel that way, but they're not speaking out. What would you say to them?
First of all, I want to say she's an American hero.
Yes.
Everywhere she goes, I see now a lot of people are coming out and actually defending her. But obviously, if you're standing up for something that you believe in, you're going to get hate all the time. But I think she's inspiring not only the players in WNBA, but girls from all over the world, not only in America, because I get so many messages and they're saying that from all over the world. Wow. They're saying, hey, if you ever see Sophie, can you please say hi to her? It's just amazing what she's doing, and I think she's gonna go down to one of the faces of the league. I think.
Where do you see all of this going? Where do you think the end of this is?
I think the end. That's a really good question. I believe that the parents need to stand up for their children. Because if I was a parent, I wouldn't want my kid to be in the same locker room, same showers, or same bathroom with a biological, male. So, and I will, if my ever daughter came out and says, "Hey, I have a man or I have a biological male taking a shower in the same locker room as us," I will just go crazy. So I feel like this shouldn't even be like a right or left issue. This should be like a common sense. But I think America, we need more players like. More people like Sophie Cunningham to come out and stand for what they believe in.
Well, you're one of them.
So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Still ahead.
Yeah. How about that? Just keeping on. Yep. That's perfect. That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. I'm going to put on a long video. I will meet you at the gate. Thank you very much. Okay. I got enough in tips yesterday to get 2 cans of gas. So I'm going to go up and get those so I can fill up the generator so we can keep going. In the meantime, I'm going to throw on a longer video here so that I can do this. We will cover all this other stuff here when I get back. And I know Promethean Action put out a new one this morning. Go. Okay. So they're at the gas station now. All right. Got a second person finally who can make runs for me. And I only had enough to get 10 gallons altogether.
And I walked out of trade.
That's 2 days of podcasting with you guys, though. So let me get the banner up for this. And I will be back with you. If this ends before I get back, just know I'm coming back, okay? All right, here we go. Susan Kokinda with Promethean Action.
After Canada walked out of trade talks with the United States at 1 minute to midnight on Friday, Prime Minister Mark Carney concluded a press conference with this exchange.
Why does it feel like today Mark Carney is going to war? Trade war. The tone.
Because we were attacked. Like you're at war when you get attacked. We got attacked.
The only thing that wasn't clear from Carney's remarks is what the war is actually all about. Well, Julian Assange had an answer ready. He posted, Carney suspended trade talks to influence the U.S. midterm elections. Carney takes his marching orders from the DNC. He's betting the entire farm on the Democrats taking control of Congress. Well, Assange is onto something the entire corporate press missed, because this was never about tariffs. Mark Carney doesn't take his marching orders from the DNC. He answers to something much higher up the food chain. And the man in Washington who actually understands the war Carney is fighting is at the Treasury Department, and his name is Scott Bessent. I'm Susan Kokinda, and I've been tracking Mark Carney's role in protecting the imperial system all the way back to his role as Canadian and British central banker to Prime Minister today. So if you want to follow that, hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons so we can stay in touch and expand our reach. Here's what I'm going to cover today. First, how the trade fight isn't really about trade. Second, the operation Carney has built to reach over the president's head and into the midterm elections. And third, the deeper war that Scott Bessent is fighting, the one Carney is praying you never notice. So on Friday night, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney pulled his negotiators out of trade talks with the United States and called them home. President Trump just put this truth out. Canada has been ripping off the United States of America for years. They are among the worst nations in the world to deal with. They feel entitled, and yet we don't need Canada. They need us. They do 95% of their business with the U.S., and with us, it's the exact opposite. Then, a few minutes ago, Jameson Greer, our trade representative, explained what happened.
Just remember how we started with all of this. The Canadians over a year ago, they prohibited the sale of American wine and spirits in their stores. They put limits on how many autos could go into Canada. And even before that, they restricted the sale of U.S. dairy into Canada. So lots of new and longstanding issues with Canada. After about a year of asking them to eliminate these, they said no. So we proposed some very tailored tariffs covering about 5% of what they send us. The Canadians came to us about a month ago. They said we'd like to negotiate, and we did, and they did. We progressed to a point Tuesday night where we had enough agreement among the parties to announce that we had found the way to a deal. Then we set about to finalize it. And then in the last hours, I think there were things that the Canadians just, they wanted more. We offered them the best access to the United States of any country in the world. They wanted more. I don't know if it was political for them. It certainly doesn't make economic sense, but perhaps for political reasons.
Note what he said about Canadian retaliation, because earlier this summer, as this round of trade disputes escalated, Greer reminded Americans that Canada was the only country besides China that had retaliated against President Trump's tariffs. The only country beside China. This is not a friendly neighbor to our north. This is Mark Carney's Canada. And this is the same Canada whose industry minister said last month that Canada would use industrial policy as a weapon. And she gave it a name, geo-industrialization. That's the economic version of the British Empire's geopolitics, which manipulates countries to keep the globalists politically in control. Canada is now deploying its economic policy, not for the benefit of Canadians, but for the same purpose, keep the globalists in control. And that is the only thing that makes any sense. Listen to economic strategist James Thorne. Canada cannot win a trade war with its largest trading partner. It could not plausibly inflict equivalent damage to an economy many times its size while remaining so dependent on access to that market. The U.S. still takes roughly 72% of Canadian goods exports. 72%. And the vulnerabilities run deeper than just raw size. Take energy. Carney is running around the world flexing Canada's energy production muscles, touting growing exports to Asia. But it turns out that 60% of Quebec's refinery supply comes from Western Canada through pipelines that go through the United States. Do you really want to provoke a fight with a country that your own fuel travels through? Critical minerals and metals are worse. Canada has them in abundance, but doesn't process them. It ships them to China or the United States, then buys the finished product back. Aluminum and steel are right in the middle of this fight. The U.S. put 50% tariffs on them. Greer says Washington offered to slash those tariffs dramatically. Carney said no. Again, economically insane. Why did Carney do it? He did exactly what Julian Assange said. He blew up the talks to influence the midterm elections. Now, regular followers of Promethean Action will not be surprised by this because we have been exposing Mark Carney's role as the empire's point man against Donald Trump since both of them came into office in early 2025. If you're not a subscriber, now is a good time to get our free newsletter and stop being surprised. The link is in the description. So while Carney lectures the world about Canadian sovereignty and rallying the middle powers of the world into some kind of new alliance, his real assignment is simpler. Rescue the empire's globalist system from Donald Trump. And to do it, he has built a strike force aimed straight at the United States. So what does it mean to influence the midterms? It's the economy. This administration is running an economic revolution, pulling manufacturing and supply chains back home, rebuilding the kind of country where one income can raise a family again. J.D. Vance laid that out in Middletown, Ohio last week. But that takes time, and many, many Americans are still suffering from decades of globalist looting. So the globalists are doing everything they can to delay the turnaround and to throw new disruptions into the mix. Carney's trade war is one of them. And Carney has a team in place which has ties with or is working directly with Democrats in the United States. Let's start with Maya Johnson. She's an American and a Democratic operative who worked on Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign against Donald Trump and subsequently was tied to both the Biden and Harris campaigns. In February, she became a senior advisor to Carney with the title United States Stakeholder Strategy. And in July, she was promoted. Carney created a new position of Chief Operating Officer for her. So who else is involved in this U.S. stakeholder strategy? Well, there's Chrystia Freeland. Freeland took time off from her current unpaid volunteer position as Canada's Special Economic Envoy to Ukraine. Yes, Ukraine. To comment on the current trade war with the U.S. She praised Carney for pushing this to the point of rupture and cited her own experience in negotiating the USMCA in 2018 when she was foreign minister. In an interview with Bloomberg yesterday, she urged Carney to pursue the strategy she used back then.
I think it's so important for Canada to make the case beyond the White House. In 2018, we called it the donut strategy. And I think Team Canada now really needs to go out and explain that to Americans.
The donut strategy. Go around the president straight to the American public. Then there's Industry Minister Melanie Joly, who announced Canada's geo-industrial strategy at Chatham House last month. In that speech, she admitted that she is touring the United States, meeting with, in her own words, mostly Democrats. And so right on cue, the Democrats jumped in to denounce Trump's actions. Chuck Schumer charged that Trump's chaotic trade wars are bleeding the American people dry. Pete Buttigieg said, whether it's a trade war with Canada or an actual war with Iran, the pattern is the same. Americans are paying for the president's choices. So line it up. Carney installs a Democratic operative to run his U.S. strategy. He blows up trade talks that make no economic sense for Canada. His former finance minister goes on record describing a strategy to go over the president's head and rally Americans against him. And his current industry minister is meeting with Democrats. And right on cue, American Democrats deliver the script. This is not a coincidence. Now, before I get to Scott Bessent, let's look at one other foreign official tip his hand from a very different quarter. Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi posted this on X. The so-called economic D-Day is a diversion from America's own crisis, unprecedented debt and surging interest costs. Now, Araghchi accompanied that with an article pointing to the $40 trillion national debt, which blamed Trump's policies for exacerbating it. So you have an Iranian foreign minister and a Canadian prime minister counting on American economic problems and instabilities, which is where Scott Bessent comes in. Imperial policy has always rested on one thing: control of money. And the more money you create, the more you control. The result is a mountain of debt and a huge global financial bubble. In the meantime, the real industrial and productive base of the United States and most of the world has been gutted. So this administration has two jobs. The first is to rebuild what was gutted by returning to the American system of Alexander Hamilton, a system where wealth and progress are based on what you produce. Tariffs are an integral part of the American system, ensuring that vital manufacturing and production are protected from hostile competition, whether it comes from Beijing or Ottawa. That's the war. And when Carney calls it a war, he's right. It's a war against globalism, the modern-day British system. And he knows exactly which side he's on. But here's the second job, and it's the one that nobody is talking about. How do you deflate a financial bubble this size without blowing up the world economy in the process? Now, one of the fuses wired into that bubble is the yen carry trade. It emerged as a financial tool around the same time as NAFTA. Not a coincidence. Here's how it works. For over 2 decades, hedge funds parked in the City of London or the Cayman Islands have borrowed Japanese yen for near zero interest rates and then flipped it into higher yielding assets. Pure hot money. Now Japan is trying to unwind that, but to do that, they need to unload U.S. long-term bonds, which can force Treasury rates up. That's the surging interest costs that Aragshi was gloating about. Now, Besant's job is to help the Japanese unwind without dumping huge amounts of treasuries and pushing interest rates up, interest rates which include your mortgage. Again, think about the economic pain that the empire wants to inflict as we go into the midterms. So what does Besant do? He didn't wait around for the bomb to go off. He's carrying out direct interventions to manage this potentially explosive unwinding. And his newest action was to use the FIMA, the Foreign and International Monetary Authority facility. It lets foreign central banks swap their treasury bonds for cash instead of dumping them on the open market. And he wants the FIMA to be made bigger because he knows exactly how large this bubble is and what it will take to bring it down safely. This is exactly why President Trump brought a man who worked for George Soros on board as Treasury Secretary. Trump didn't hire him in spite of that. He hired him because of it. Besant knows how these bombs got built, and now he's defusing them. So this is what the Canada fight is really all about. 2 systems in mortal combat. Carney's British imperial system on one side, Hamilton's American system on the other. Carney knows it, and that's why he calls it a war, which is why he and his controllers are betting everything on the midterms. They're hoping that enough Americans still hurting, still waiting, give up on Donald Trump before the turnaround arrives in force. They're counting on you not seeing the economic revolution which the president and his team are actually pulling off. Because if this revolution is allowed to finish, it means the end of the British imperial system once and for all. Promethean Action is committed to that mission and to making sure Americans understand it and make their decisions accordingly. If you want to be part of that, join us as a contributor or a supporting member. This has been your Monday Brief. Thanks for watching.
All right. I'm sorry, guys. I'm back. Come on. Dang. I don't know how long you guys been waiting for me. I went as fast as I could. Dang. We had to transfer because he needed the cans to go back with him. So the next time that I have money, I can just cash app it to him and he can deliver. So, and he's only a couple miles up the road. So, which is a benefit. So I apologize. It's hot out there. Okay. So I'm going to scroll down and then we'll work our way up. Will be the way that we'll do this. What do you mean? It says that Facebook dropped. All right. Let's see if we can get them back. Let's see if we get them back. We lost Facebook. So we need to add them back. There we go. All right. Now we got Facebook back. I can get rid of that. I have no idea what anybody is saying in the thing there. Yeah, I'm trying to catch my breath. That's why I'm kind of going slow at doing this and getting Facebook back online. Facebook, are you back? Somebody from Facebook make a comment so I know you're back. Please and thank you. I did. I was running, pushing the wheelbarrow. I didn't take the cart up because it's loaded with dog food right now. So I was like, I didn't want to empty one. And then I get up there and he's like, I need you to empty the cans because I want to have them empty or filled up and at the house and ready to load in the truck and bring out to you as soon as you got the money. And so I'm like, okay, I won't argue with that, not one bit. So all right, we're back. Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate it. Did you have to open a new window or did it just come back on? I'm not sure which happened. But okay. All right. So I kind of want to like I was saying, we've been covering a lot of stuff lately, haven't we? So many different topics, so much of this, so much of that, so much of this, so much of that, and it's like, what the hell? It's all been crazy. Okay, so this is where we left off yesterday. Remember, we covered the Bill and Hillary thing. Plus, I showed you what Absolute Storm, the content he put together. I shared that with you at the. I think it was pretty much at the beginning of today's podcast. Okay. And by the way, I did have time. I filled up the generator, so we're good to go. I don't have to stop to go take care of that. That's already taken care of. So, but again, so yesterday we ended with talking about Bill's public health will begin to rapidly deteriorate, right? And then Absolute Storm put up that post this morning regarding them talking about this back when the first eagle flew during the rededication to God. Okay, right? And then what they did 2 weeks ago in adding more context to that, and then with what happened this weekend. So it's kind of coming full circle. All right. So let's go ahead and go here. And we know says operational or Operation Round River is real. Let's take a listen. Jesse Waters covers this.
Fox News alert. Everything Primetime has been saying about the FBI and the Biden family has just been confirmed. For years, we've told you the FBI knew everything the Bidens were up to. The cash, the Chinese diamonds, American policy for sale. Not only was Biden blackmailing other countries and other countries blackmailing him, but the FBI was blackmailing Biden. Senator Chuck Grassley just announced that the Federal Bureau of Investigation has had 40 informants inside the Biden family for the last 15 years. What does that mean? It's exactly what you think. 40 FBI informants, going back to the time Joe Biden was vice president, have been providing criminal information to FBI field offices throughout the country. 40 FBI informants have been feeding the Bureau exactly what Joe Biden, James Biden, and Hunter Biden have been doing all over the world. Primetime isn't sure the FBI had this many informants working on the Trump campaign. So, what does it mean that the FBI has had the Biden family wired? And what does it mean that the FBI hasn't done a thing? Well, it tells me that the FBI knows all of the president's dirty laundry and is blackmailing him. Because Senator Grassley also revealed that multiple FBI field offices tried to run this criminal information back to headquarters and were blocked at every corner. This criminal activity was shut down during the Trump impeachment, shut down before the last election, and it's still being shut down today. Grassley says FBI headquarters deliberately smeared criminal information coming from FBI informants about the Biden family as foreign disinformation, when in fact, after an exhaustive examination, there's never been any information that any of this has been foreign. Even the FBI informant that said the Bidens shook down Ukraine for a $10 million bribe, that was vetted and found not to be foreign disinformation. But it gets worse. The FBI's attempt to follow up on the $10 million Ukrainian Biden bribe was shut down. The FBI informant who said there's 17 tapes of Biden talking about bribes, that too has been shut down, despite that there's no evidence that this is foreign disinformation. And while all of this is going on, the FBI has been actively planting information against Donald Trump, doctoring emails and disseminating fake dossiers. The FBI used Biden to get revenge on Trump. They got a dirty politician elected so they could defeat a politician who caught them trying to frame him and fired their director. And now we have a compromised president in the White House being protected by a rogue gang of sick agents. And the American people are the real victims of this stupid inside game. You're paying more for everything. The border's wide open and crime is sky high. And we have 2 proxy wars that Biden can't manage. All because the FBI believes it's more powerful than democracy.
Okay. So this was from, it was 40 informants inside the family for 15 years, evidence collected, then deliberately labeled Russian disinformation, falsified, buried, not interference, a coordinated effort to overturn the Republic on November 3rd of 2020. Okay, that's pretty freaking clear. So I'm not going to go into this. Well, I'll read what it says. It says 9/11 secret files. Some of the most compelling evidence in the 9/11 family's lawsuit against Saudi Arabia comes from British authorities, not the U.S. government, including this drawing of a plane and mathematical equation that could be used to view a target and then calculate the rate of descent to the target. It was found in a notebook belonging to Saudi national Omar al Bayoumi, a close associate of the 9/11 hijackers. I first reported on the notebook in 2021. So
Fox News alert.
There's a whole lot going on. She's going to be exposing more and more and more. All right. And then let's hit this one here. Here we go.
Fox was there as Oren Stachar was arrested by the FBI in Los Angeles, charged with stealing 27 million taxpayer dollars in a hospice fraud scheme, allegedly using some of that money to buy this Rolls-Royce Phantom.
He was living the high life. He was making millions of dollars fraudulently and is very brazen. And he finally got caught. And now he's looking at significant prison time.
Federal prosecutors say Stachar operated multiple fraudulent hospices, including one spelled as Holy Trinity. Stachar billed Medicare using names and personal information of dead people that his hospice never treated, getting up to $33,000 per patient a year. Prosecutors are also charging 2 accomplices, including this man, Abraham Shin, who allegedly helped connect Stachar with Jeannie Choi, the manager of a mortuary, who gave Stachar names of people who recently passed in exchange for cash.
Just in case you were wondering, the guy who was running all these fraudulent hospice companies and using dead patients, that guy was a foreign-born man, and he's so careless he doesn't even spell the names of his fake hospice companies correctly. Now, why is this important? Well, because it is in California, and what did Gavin Newsom just do? Did Gavin Newsom sign the Stop Nick Shirley Act into law? Yes, Gavin Newsom just signed that into law, and it takes effect October 1st, 2027. So really think about that. This guy was just caught in California. He didn't even spell the name of the hospice companies correctly. And Democrats like Gavin Newsom are now making it illegal to question these things. You cannot even investigate them, which this is the exact kind of fraud that Nick Shirley went and investigated and would catch.
Yeah. So Steve Hilton needs to win in California.
Fox was there.
Laws like that can be overturned. Remember yesterday I was talking about this guy, man who called for slaughter of President Trump and the entire Secret Service. Oops. Let's see. This guy here.
Are just fucking retarded. Y'all are all pussies. Y'all are all stupid. It is as simple as we all grab guns. We all group together and we all rush the White House and actually kill Trump and all of Secret Service. We aren't doing this pussy shit before where we just storm it.
Okay. So, Libs of TikTok put out major breaking. I can now confirm that Aiden Langevin has been arrested by the FBI early this morning, less than 24 hours after we made them aware of these threats to President Trump. He is off the streets and is not a threat to our president now. Fuck around and find out. Okay, and this is the thing is that, you know, I made a comment yesterday that if, you know, basically when looking at this, who is he influencing? You know, and it's just, you know, yeah, this is nuts. So, you know, and yeah, so they got him. Yeah, so let's get over to here. And here we have Todd Blanche, our acting AG. Actually, I don't believe he's acting. I believe that he is AG now. I believe he was confirmed and sworn in.
Today, we are announcing the indictments of 3 individuals: Maritza Kawik Koch, her brother, Carlos Agustin Kawik Koch, and Gladys Marina Call Chen. This was out of the Northern District of Ohio. All 3 are illegal aliens from Guatemala who allegedly took part in a wide-ranging conspiracy to smuggle more than a dozen children into the United States by scamming the system and exploiting the loopholes created by the last administration. This is one example, one indictment, but it is not unique. there are over 15,500 super sponsor cases that we have identified along with DHS. Today,
Yeah, that's not a little bit of, and that's child smuggling ring. Yep. Thank you, Brenda, for sending that out. All right. Oh, Canada. It is wild how much control China has over Canada today. Carney and his party have been so compromised by the CCP, they would rather bankrupt their nation than risk being exposed by China. Donald Trump says Canada has been ripping off the United States of America for years. Their ridiculously high tariffs on our farmers and farm products has made life impossible for these great American patriots and has long created a $60 billion deficit between our two countries. Not substantial or not sustainable, and not anymore. On January 1st of 2027, tariffs on all cars, trucks, both large and small, automotive parts and steel will be increased by 50%. Built in the U.S. and there are zero tariffs. Canada will be treated like a state no more or no longer on trade and in other ways. Also, they are among the worst nations in the world to deal with. They feel entitled, and yet we don't need Canada. They need us. They do 95% of their business with the U.S., with us, the exact opposite. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So those of you in Canada, sorry. But maybe Canada will earn statehood one day. Maybe. Here we go. Katie Hopkins, that shit bonkers Britain.
News here in batshit bonkers Britain, where we are bracing for the return of Harry, formerly known as Prince, and old sparkly pants, Meghan Markle. She says she's coming over to pursue her acting career. Yeah, because over in California, where they live near Hollywood, that's just not really that well known for its acting, so they need to come back to the UK. She put out a rumour that she's going to be in the next series of The Gentleman. But of course, no gentleman would ever go near that trailer trash and her Rasta mouse mother. So they are still planning on coming back and be about as popular, I would imagine, as a particularly virulent strain of chlamydia in a retirement village. In other news, 5 feral kids driving the wrong way down a motorway in a stolen vehicle are killed and killed 2 police officers in the process. Kids, stop doing this shit for social media clicks. It is really not worth it. And also stop doing these bloody ridiculous hand gestures. I don't know what you think you look like, but you look like absolute thunderwumps. I've got a tattoo on my back that says don't get a tattoo, right? If I start doing these stupid hand gestures that you're doing, will you stop doing them? Because basically that's the only hand gesture that you need. I think the parents of those feral kids should be prosecuted for the loss of those families of those police officers. And finally, Liam Gallagher secures his position as the greatest of all time. Now that Glastonbury is a lefty wank fest with Corbynites costing over 400 quid for a ticket, he describes Glastonbury goers as croc-wearing, flag-waving shit cunts. I couldn't have put it better myself, Liam. I remember Glasgow back in the good old days where we jumped the fence, I caught in Potago and spent the summer serving beers behind a bar with massive blistering pustules down my face. Those were the days. That's it, my loves. Batshit bonkers Britain.
She is fucking nuts. Isn't she? She's 100% fucking nuts. I'm sorry, but there's just oh my Lord. And she gives you an earful, she gives you an earful. Okay. So this was, I found this kind of interesting. It's Minnesota Democrats rigged their election so they can literally never lose. Wall Street Bait put this up. This is a cut from the American Experiment. I don't know if that's TikTok or if that is Instagram.
I don't think any other state has this besides Minnesota, where, okay, number one, you can vouch for up to 8 people. Yeah. But then we also have same-day election registration, and we don't have provisional ballots. So those elements all combined together. We don't. Other states that have same-day voter registration have a provisional ballot, and so when you register to vote, typically, if you're doing it in advance, your registration is checked so that when you actually go to, vote on election day, you've been vetted by the state in some way. But when you have same-day registration, obviously there's not time for that to happen. And so your vote gets counted immediately. It gets put into the pool and it's never coming back out. Other states, they will have same-day registrants use what's called a provisional ballot. And so, they cast their vote, but it's set off aside, and it's not actually added into the mix until their registration has been verified, which makes sense. It's, Minnesota doesn't have that. No.
This sounds just too crazy to be true, so let's just verify it. Does Minnesota have provisional ballots? No, Minnesota does not have provisional ballots. Well, how does it work? Right here is the process. In Minnesota, eligible voters can register and vote on election day, and vouching is allowed. These ballots are then treated as regular ballots and mixed into the count right away rather than being set aside for a later review. So this means that there's no verification, no eligibility checks. They are just allowed to register and then put their ballot in, and it is counted right away. There is no separate provisional process or post-election eligibility check for these ballots in the same way that other states handle them. There is no post-eligibility check. So you can just vouch for 8 people, say that you are going to register for them. You get those ballots. They are treated as regular ballots, just like any other ones. They're gone right in, and they are counted with no eligibility checks after the fact. That is wild. The elections are rigged, and there is no other way to look at it other than the elections are rigged.
Yep. Yeah, real shame. Real shame. How about this one?
Give women the vote and the whole country will be damned.
Nonsense. You just want to keep us down.
Well, how about 2 of you get into my machine and tell me what you see?
And the patriarchy! And the patriarchy! Let's go, Lindsay!
My farts are now 50% off. Get them now, losers.
Okay, we've seen enough. And?
Get back to the kitchen, bitch!
All right.
Give women the vote.
Conservative News Today on TikTok. If you got TikTok, give them a follow. They do make some really good content. I don't know how they. I would love to be able to do my videos and get this kind of quality of stuff. This is amazing. But I'm an old guy. I partially electronically challenged. Digitally challenged, I guess there's a word for it. Yeah. All right. Let's see. All right. Child predators cannot hide from us.
70 arrests in 10 days.
Scott Leary is the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Mississippi, and he's describing Operation Muddy Waters, a joint federal and state crackdown targeting sex offenders and child exploitation, including suspects accused of distributing illicit material and arranging meetups.
They will travel to have sex with underage kids. We had illegal immigrants involved in this. People come to our country and then seek to abuse our children.
Illegals like Christian Hiron, a Honduran national, who allegedly traveled from Tennessee to Mississippi for the purpose of sexual conduct with a minor.
We're going to prosecute them. We're going to put them in jail here. And when they're finished with their time, they're going to leave this country. 70 arrests in 10 days.
Scott Leary is the U.S. Attorney for the...
Yeah. He's not messing around. So 70 so far, and the operation's still going on in other locations. So that is something. Natalie Winters put this together. She did a little thread here. Exclusive. The Islamization of Girl Scouts across America. GSUA USA approved Girl Scouts of the Islamic Faith medals. All right. Non-Muslim girls invited to mosques to observe Islamic prayer, Hajj patches, Shahada lessons, required white hijabs, and Ramadan lock-ins. All right. This is not one troop. Mosque-based programs operate in Sacramento, Naperville, Long Island, Virginia, Maryland, Brooklyn, San Diego, and more, embedding prayer, hijab rules, Ramadan, Islamic education, and mosque outreach into Girl Scouting. The centerpiece is a 4-award Islamic recognition system. The medals themselves read Girl Scouts of the Islamic Faith. So this goes on, and yeah, this shit's got to come to an end. Got to get this out of our country. This is a Christian nation. I don't care what anybody says. All right, DOW. Pete Hegseth.
Next stop we're taking today, actually, we're flying over to Wisconsin to talk to a defense manufacturer to restart our Arsenal of Freedom tour, which is a tour across the country over the course of this year to businesses large and small in our defense industrial base that will build the things that you will be in your hands to ensure deterrence. But for too long, we outsourced those capabilities, or we didn't invest in our defense industrial base, and we allowed our defense companies to effectively become appendages of government. So many of the things that you rely on that are incredible, exquisite capabilities were built by just a small handful of companies. Great companies, many of which we still rely on, we're investing in right now, and they're fantastic. We need them. But they started to look a lot more like the department than like business. And our department can be a bureaucratic maze. And in order to navigate a bureaucratic maze, you build your own bureaucracy to navigate that maze. And bureaucracies are not built to move quickly. Well, in the 21st century battlefield, everything has to iterate and move quickly. It's all about autonomy and AI and tech and cyber, the ability to move information, move people, move things, execute and iterate quickly. Bureaucracies are not built that way. And so we need to build and operate at the speed of business. And our arsenal of freedom needs to expand. It can't just be 5 prime contract defense contractors. It's got to be 10, it's got to be 15, it's got to be 20, it's got to be 25. We've got to open the bureaucracy so that more companies, great American companies, can compete. They build it here, they employ Americans here, they manufacture here at scale and at speed. That'll take investment from us, but it takes a different kind of investment. And I wish our Deputy Secretary of War was here.
Yeah, interesting. They're out on the tour. Yep. And so breaking, Minnesota Democrats vote to keep dead people on the voter rolls. They rejected the amendment that would force removal of deceased voters. Here we go.
11.
I recognize a member from Olmsted, Representative Quam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This is just to require the full removal of deceased people from the voters' rolls. And before you ask, well, nobody deceased is voting, the federal system at SSA has checked registrations and has flagged deceased people registering in the state of Minnesota. It's not a huge thing, but let's take care of it by cleaning up the roll. Oregon is doing it and other states are doing it, so it's not an unusual thing to do. Let's just vote green.
The clerk will call the names of the members voting remotely.
Allen.
Allen votes aye.
Allen votes aye. Burkle.
Burkle, go ahead.
Burkle votes aye.
Burkle votes aye. Franzen.
Branson votes yes.
Franzen votes aye. Kozlowski.
Kozlowski votes no.
Kozlowski votes no. McDonald.
Here you are, Joe.
McDonald
Joe.
aye.
Hold on.
McDonald.
McDonald.
McDonald aye.
Say it again.
McDonald aye.
McDonald votes aye.
Momani Hildsley. Momani Hildsley.
Momani Hildsley, no.
Momani Hildsley votes no. Wolgamott.
Wolgamott votes no.
Wolgamott votes no. The clerk will close the roll. There being 67 yeas and 67 nays, the motion does not prevail. The amendment is not adopted.
So dead people get to vote this year. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Now, Julie Donut says President Trump's post. This is the second time President Trump posted this. He's telling us information about the financial health through this storm. You might want to take a listen. I have nothing to invest, so I'm honestly I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna sink my teeth into this. It's 47 minutes long. If anybody
brokerage account or even a savings account at your local bank, the next few months could be the most important financial period.
But yeah, I'm just not going to spend a whole lot of time on it because of that. So, but Donald Trump did mention that, and he's the guy who was talking about the price of silver or the price of gold going up to a minimum of 10,000. Even as high as $16,000 to $18,000 an ounce. So this is, this could be something big, but
11.
It's like when you don't hold anything anymore, you kind of don't care. So I don't care what XRP does. I don't care what silver does. I mean, I do for the benefit of everybody else, but I don't. I'm saying but survival of the fittest, right? That's the way it goes, and that's what we did. We survived through this. So, and then Charlotte, North Carolina. Here we go.
And accused of threatening to kill students at 5 different schools is now out of jail. Here's a closer look at the map. CMPD says Drew Owens laid out mass shooting plans for a few elementary, middle, and high schools. Channel 9's Glenn Counts spoke to some parents who say they're scared to send their kids to school this week.
At 11:30 Saturday morning, Drew Owens walked out of the Mecklenburg County Jail. Now, a lot of parents are telling us they are looking over their shoulders.
Like, is he going to show up at one of the schools? It's not good.
This woman speaks for a lot of parents who live in the community house area. She is so afraid that she doesn't want her face shown.
I'm not going to feel at ease. I'm not going to pretend like it's okay.
A year and a half ago, Drew Owens threatened to shoot up 5 CMS schools: Garinger, West Charlotte, Audrey Kell Community House, and Hawk Ridge. He was arrested. The community was outraged by his $10,000 bond, so another judge raised it to $200,000 secured. That was last February. But in May, another judge reduced the amount to $75,000 secured, low enough so that Owens could pay the bondsman's fee.
In this situation, it's confusing because he had a $200,000 bond. He's clearly a public safety threat. So what took the threat level down?
There is not an answer to that question in the court paperwork. Neighbors in the subdivision where Owens grew up claim that he threatened, intimidated, and harassed them, and they are scared.
It's really unnerving. For some of us, we live in the area where he knows people. And that's just not positive. It's scary.
One of the questions neighbors have is, how did Owens manage to bond out? According to a document handwritten by him, he had a 401k. We don't know if that's where the money came from.
He's out and that's it. And the rest of us have to deal with it. And teachers have to go to school on Tuesday and deal with it.
In case you are wondering, Drew Owens is on electronic monitoring and he has been ordered to stay away from the schools. At the Mecklenburg County Jail, Glenn Counts, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Ankle monitors can be removed, and then you have multiple destinations in which you can go to. I'm just saying, there's so much there. And then I'm going to play Scott Percent, but I'm going to play the whole thing, not just the couple of clips that were there because I.
2 years.
Do you pay taxes?
I have not filed my taxes in the past 2 years.
Why?
Because I didn't have money to go get it filed. But I mean, I wasn't always bad with money. When I was 17, I had $20,000.
How?
Because of the COVID money.
What?
So I was getting paid to be at home. It was 2020.
High school students were getting paid?
Yes, I was getting paid $2,000 every 2 weeks.
So you sure you didn't commit some kind of fraud?
My friend just told me like, hey, put in here that you can't work and you can get paid.
For adults. You committed some kind of fraud, dude. 100%, IRS. Okay, so you had 20,000. What the happened?
So then I bought an ambulance.
Okay, what is with the on the show and buying ambulances?
It was $5,000 and it was a tiny home.
For those wondering what COVID money she's talking about, it's got to be this program. It's got to be the Expanded Pandemic Unemployment Benefits Program. This is a program that people got $4,200 a month. Some of it was paid by the state and some of it was paid by the federal government. So in a state like California, you would get $450 from the state and then the federal government would give $600. That means you would get $1,050 a week, which is about $4,200 a month. So the math lines up with what she's talking about. But the thing is, high school students should not have been getting this. High school students can technically get this because there was no age cutoff, but they wouldn't have been making the kind of money that qualified them for $1,000 a week. Most high school students had limited coverage or wages, so they would qualify only for the minimum base amount. So maybe $600, but not $4,200 a month. But this girl is saying that she was just told that all she had to do was sign up and then she started receiving the checks, which is very likely. But just keep in mind, like, this abuse must have been taking place nationwide. I'm sure everyone else at the high school did the same thing. Now multiply that nationwide and just think of how much money was stolen by these people. They're basically just defrauding taxpayers and we're having to pay all that money back.
Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right. Chaos in Los Angeles. Antifa-linked mob storms a Catholic church, chases a conservative activist into Starbucks, and then douses him in blue paint while screaming Nazi. I'm not going to play the video. It's just ridiculous. All right. John Rich put this one up. Mr. Fenn Church is pleading with folks in Alabama to support him this Wednesday as a circuit judge will decide whether or not Alabama Power can take control of his land against his will. Mr. Fenn says it's a violation of his Fourth Amendment. I agree. Do you? And here's the video.
Good morning. Coming to you from my home in Shelby County, Alabama, just outside of Clear. I wanted to give everyone an update on my property rights issue. Last Thursday, my attorney, Martin Evans, filed a preliminary injunction to stop the power company from coming on my property and destroying my trees and my driveway. It got picked up by Judge Spann in Circuit Court in Shelby County, Columbiana, Alabama. I've heard good things about Judge Spann. He's a very fair judge. And the judge immediately set a hearing this Wednesday at 9 a.m. in Columbiana at the Shelby County Circuit Court. And this is a very important date. This is going to tell where Alabama Power has the right to destroy my property and to come in on all of my easements and use my front driveway for all their equipment and all their contractors for a dozen or more telecommunications companies. This is a very pivotal trial in Alabama history because it goes against the Fourth Amendment rights of disturbing a homeowner's privacy in his own home. I greatly appreciate all the help and support that I've received during this point. And I greatly appreciate any support you can give me Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. at the courthouse in Shelby County. This thing is bigger than just Fenn Church, and it's bigger than Alabama Power. And my attorney filed with the injunction over 150 pages of Alabama Power's expansion plans over the next through 2030. And there will be many more landowners affected by this. I hope not many homeowners, but many more landowners here in Alabama affected by this. And we need to see how this case is going to go forward, because it's going to set a precedent here in the state of Alabama. Appreciate all your support. Love for you to help show up and support. If you're a landowner, if you're a homeowner in Alabama, this means everything to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah. I wish the volume was up a little bit louder. I apologize for how low it was. It was the way that it was posted. We can always say a prayer for that guy. He's going to have a tough struggle ahead, and then Sundance is a warrior ritual where they take and they pierce the chest of men, and they tie goes to a either a tree or a pole of some type, and basically they go through they go through an entire ceremony, and but it's called the Sundance, and I've seen a few with the scars. All right, Fauci's lawyer just launched a defense.
He has a legal defense fund now. Where does this stand with you and your department? What do you guys plan to do? Because a lot of people are concerned that I was on Fauci really early, like Bobby Kennedy early. But let's talk about what we know so far. I mean, what people have uncovered just in the last month, they want not just for it to be uncovered, but they want someone to have consequences for that.
Totally. And I think what I can say about that is that we've been investigating the circumstances that what that man led at his department for over a year. We've charged a couple of people with allegedly destroying documents, and that's exactly the problem. Is we want to know what happened. We can't know what happened without the documents, and so we're going to continue to investigate. The information that the Senate's uncovered over the past several months is extraordinarily troubling. We got a referral. I can't talk about any ongoing investigations, but
I know
it's a big issue.
Thank you for staying on it. We can.
No, a rain dance was to dance to exhaustion in the hopes of making it rain. The Sundance is a warrior ceremony that they go through, and it's generally it's let me see if I can pull up an exact description for you. No. Okay, so Sundance is a major Native American religious ceremony practiced by some Plains people in the United States, mostly Lakota, especially the Lakotas who I'm putting in there myself because the guys that I know are Lakota Sioux, and Indigenous peoples in Canada, where groups gather to reaffirm their beliefs through rituals of personal and community sacrifices. It is typically held in late spring or early summer and often includes fasting and days of dancing. In some tribes, it also includes piercing and other forms of self-mortification. Yeah. So, it's typically held in late spring and early summer, generally the hottest point of the year. And its purpose is to express gratitude, seek spiritual power, and ensure the well-being of the community. They fast from food and water while dancing, and it's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's but So there's that. Yeah, there's that. That's what Sundance is. All right, and then we got this guy again.
Red flags are popping up around Michigan Democrat Senate nominee Abdul El Sayed. His mother reportedly worked for an Islamic nonprofit group linked to funding Osama bin Laden, though she denies any ties to terrorism. And his father-in-law, not to be outdone, allegedly has connections to the Muslim Brotherhood linked groups. We reached out to El Sayed's campaign for comment, and they responded that his mother, quote, was never accused of any wrongdoing and was not charged or named as a defendant. Meanwhile, his half-sister, also not to be outdone, delivered a blessing on the anniversary of the October 7th attacks. Check it out.
I want to say Allahu Akbar. It's a phrase that reminds us that no matter how great the brutality, the oppression, the intensity of what we're going through, a horizon of justice is just around the corner.
Yeah, that's a phrase that reminds me of people blowing up. Okay, El Sayed has also received over $115,000 in donations from members of the Council on American Islamic Relations. That organization has been designated a terror organization in Florida and Texas. He's also criticized bans on Sharia law.
The state of Oklahoma voted in a referendum to amend the Constitution to ban Sharia law. The same exact forces that drove native peoples from their land 2 centuries ago, destroyed Black Wall Street a century ago, bombed a building decades ago, and tried to ban Sharia law not a decade ago, that those forces are alive and well today.
Tommy, several of those things are not like the other ones. When you compare...
Yeah. It's some of these things is not like the other. One of these things is really strange. Yeah. So ICE agents have begun to surge in New Jersey. In May of 2024, there were reportedly 900,000 illegal immigrants in New Jersey. As of January 2026, that number has fallen to 737,000. Illegal immigrants were costing New Jersey households approximately $2,100 per year. Got to catch them all. Yep. So bad boy. So ex-Amber Crum and Fitch CEO Michael Jeffries has finally been deemed mentally fit to stand trial for sex trafficking after his 2024 arrest. So, and again, I want to play the whole thing. Actually, this is an older clip. This is on March 5th of March 6th of 2025 at the Economic Club of New York.
This administration has kept the enhanced sanctions in place and will not hesitate to go all in should it provide leverage in peace negotiations. Per President Trump's guidance, sanctions will be used explicitly and aggressively for immediate maximum impact. They will be carefully monitored to ensure that they are achieving specific objectives. Last month, the White House announced its maximum pressure campaign on Iran, designed to collapse its already buckling economy. The Iranian economy is in disarray. 35% official inflation, a currency that has depreciated 60% in the last 12 months, and an ongoing energy crisis. I know a few things about currency devaluations, and if I were an Iranian, I would get all of my money out of the rial now. This precarious state exists before our maximum pressure campaign designed to collapse Iranian oil exports from the current 1.6 million barrels per day back to the trickle they were when President Trump left office. Iran has developed a complex shadow network of financial facilitators and black market oil shippers via a ghost fleet to sell oil, petrochemical, and other commodities to finance its exports and generate hard currency. As such, we have elevated a sanctions campaign against this export infrastructure, targeting all stages of Iran's oil supply chain. We have coupled this with vigorous government engagement and private sector outreach. We will close off Iran's access to the international financial system by targeting regional parties that facilitate the transfer of its revenues. Treasury is prepared to engage in frank discussions with these countries. We are going to shut down Iran's oil sector and drone manufacturing capabilities.
Okay, now remember, this is back in 2025, okay? But today, this is what came out.
Today, at President Trump's direction, the United States Treasury has begun Operation Economic Outcast, an unprecedented campaign against the Islamic Republic of Iran and its enablers. In the Second World War, D-Day marked the historic beginning of a campaign with our allies to target and drive the enemy from its positions, including those in third countries. Today, in that same spirit, we are launching an economic onslaught against Iran's financial connections around the globe. Our objective is to sever every economic lifeline that sustains this tyrannical regime until Tehran stands alone. Iran's fanatics devote themselves to death to America and seek nuclear weapons to do just that. They have murdered and maimed more of our citizens and service members than any other terrorist regime on earth. And they have been at war against America, their neighbors in the Gulf, and much of the world for 47 years. President Trump has taken action that his predecessors have long deferred. And under his leadership, America is no longer managing the Iranian threat. We are ending it. Our great armed forces have laid the groundwork for achieving the president's objective of preventing Iran from ever obtaining nuclear weapons. They have shown America's resolve to finally end this threat. And the strength of America's economy under President Trump allows us to wage this sustained financial operation alongside the might of our military. Iran now faces a very clear choice with only two paths before them: complete global isolation and a subsistence economy, or a path back to normalcy with an opportunity to rejoin the global economy. Today, we are launching Operation Economic Outcast to foreclose every other option available to the Iranian regime. Treasury has mapped every node, every facilitator, and every network that Iran has used to smuggle oil and evade sanctions. Beginning today, the actions of Treasury and other agencies will tighten the noose and block every potential source of revenue that funds the IRGC and the evil Iranian regime. We are enforcing a zero leakage approach. There will be no minimal breathing space for the regime to rebuild its capacity to inflict terror against America and the world. The final refuge of this regime is the mistaken conclusion of nations that still finance the Iranian threat in the hopes of evading it. It is no longer acceptable to operate in the gray spaces of this conflict. Countries cannot claim they are blind to enabling this activity. Iran's enablers purchase, transport its petroleum. They facilitate the flow of its finances through exchange houses and free trade zones. They welcome Iran's flights and maintain registries on its behalf. They turn a blind eye to seaborne fuel transfers and overland transits. They condone illicit use of their banks, all the while concealing the extent of their complicity. The president is making phone calls to world leaders with specific requests to cease their interactions with the regime. We are already seeing results. Over the weekend, comments from Iranian leadership clearly acknowledged the effect of this campaign, and nations that facilitate any interactions with the regime should quickly heed our message. Those who stand with the United States will reap the rewards of our partnership. Those who tether themselves to the Iranian regime should expect to share in the isolation of a withering regime. Teams from Treasury, State, and the U.S. military are now meeting with their global counterparts to tell them that the United States expects action. Every country has a defined timeline to shut down activities we have identified. If they do not take action, we will do so unilaterally through Treasury authorities. For example, every branch of Bank Melee must be shuttered and dark. And let me be clear, any entity that facilitates money laundering on behalf of Iran will be removed from the US dollar system. The clock just started ticking. The new sectoral sanctions determinations issued today target 5 of Iran's most vital lifelines that it exploits in other countries: digital assets, technology, gold, aviation, and shipping. These measures broaden secondary sanctions risk for anyone foolish enough to continue conducting business with this regime, and will accelerate the speed with which we pursue them. As I speak, Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control is also sanctioning over 60 entities, individuals, and vessels around the world that enable the Iranian regime to procure illicit nuclear and missile technology, conduct cyber operations, and generate oil revenue. This is a sustained campaign to collapse every last option for Iran. Let there be no ambiguity as to the position of the United States. An economic engagement of any kind with this murderous regime will expose those responsible to the full reach of American power. For decades, this regime has drawn strength from a calculus that regards Iranian retaliation as certain and American enforcement as negotiable. Under President Trump, that era is over. To the ordinary soldiers supporting this regime, as more and more of your paychecks stop or are supposedly just delayed, ask whether your commanders are leading your country to triumph or to ruin. And recall that the Berlin Wall fell when ordinary soldiers decided not to shoot at their own people. And to those who enable Tehran, do not discount the cost of testing Washington's resolve. No nation should expect to enjoy the rewards of our system while helping those who seek to destroy it. It is now a time for world leaders to make a decision between prosperity and isolation, peace and terror, America and Iran. The campaign we begin today will gather force with every day that follows, and it will not end until this regime stands alone. With that, I welcome your questions. David from Reuters.
Hi, thanks, Secretary. One of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal is the ability to impose secondary sanctions on banks and financial institutions that facilitate transactions for Iran. Chinese banks have often been talked about being targeted, but we don't see any of those institutions targeted here. Is that something that is coming in this campaign, or is the very delicate trade truce with China something that could prohibit you from going that far and taking that very big step?
We want to make clear here today that no one is above the reach of U.S. sanctions. That if they facilitate transactions and are part of the ecosystem that turns Iranian oil into money, into repression, they will be targeted. We find that the best way to engage with countries is through quiet diplomacy, and we are level setting with every country to tell them our expectations. We know who they are, they know who they are, so when the hammer of U.S. Treasury actions falls upon them, they will have no one to blame but themselves. Richard from CBS.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You said the president is calling world leaders with specific asks and that there is a defined timeline. Who is he calling and what are the asks?
We're not going to name names. That we've already seen some results, and that I am confident the president, as you all know, is quite persuasive, and we are following his calls up with calls from visits and calls from the State Department and from the U.S. Treasury, expecting them are telling the leaders, the countries, and the entities exactly what we expect and the timelines. And I would expect that very quickly, if they do not respond, then you will see the ramifications of their actions.
Can you say how far the timelines are?
Again, I'm not going to set timelines, but we do not have infinite patience here. Jennifer?
Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary. Jennifer Schonberger with Yahoo Finance. You just said moments ago that no one is above U.S. sanctions. What specific secondary sanctions or penalties is Treasury prepared to levy against Chinese banks and shipping firms if they do not comply? And then secondly, as you look to take these unprecedented sanctions, you've also said that as the Iran conflict fades and oil prices recede, that will help bring down long-term bond yields. In the meantime, you have mentioned your toolkit, and I'm curious if you are looking at reducing auction sizes for longer term dated Treasury debt going forward, and what other actions you may consider from that toolkit.
Yeah, well, why don't we work backwards? We issued the quarterly refunding announcement 2.5 weeks ago. We are going to continue with our regular program of auctions. So you will be hearing from us again at the beginning of next quarter. In terms of, as I said, every country, every entity should know that they should be prepared to face U.S. sanctions. And no one is above this. We are going to hold everyone accountable.
Oops, I'm sorry. I forgot to turn on my damn microphone. Okay, so I want to bring a memory recall to you guys. Remember yesterday I showed you guys an article about Xi Jinping coming to meet with Donald Trump, and I believe it is somewhere around like the 12th or the 14th of September, right? So we're in August right now on the 24th. Do you really think that China is going to do something to help Iran when this meeting with Xi Jinping is coming up? Is China going to be willing to cross a line before their meeting with the president? Okay, because I think that one of the penalties to China would be is that if they do continue to operate the finances for Iran, then the meeting with Trump should be canceled. Okay, so this is why I'm saying this could be an excuse to cancel the meeting, or is it going to keep China in place, in check, and allow Trump to keep doing what he's doing? I just want to throw that hypothetical in there, knowing that Xi Jinping is supposed to be meeting with Trump within the next 30 days. Okay, so we'll just say that within the next 30 days. All right, and yeah.
And this is economic asphyxiation of this regime. And Jennifer, as I said, no one should test our resolve. So, Josh from New York Post.
You said you weren't going to name names, but there's been some reports that the United Arab Emirates is among some of the first nations to take seriously these words from the United States to cut off all business interactions with Iran. Is UAE leading the way in this respect?
I would think that the actions that they took last week were not coincident, but likely causal. And I would expect that we would see a broad array of countries taking similar actions as we continue our engagement. The UAE have been very good partners and have taken the brunt of the Iranian attacks in the Gulf. And what have these countries gotten over the years from appeasing Iran? They were subject to violent attacks. While we were bombing Iran, they were bombing them. So it shows that with this regime, appeasement does not work. And on the other side, with this regime, trying to buy appeasement will no longer work in the eyes of the United States of America. And I want to emphasize that we are spreading out across the world as we speak, that you will see a wave of sanctions when you leave this meeting today, and you should expect that cadence to continue. And I would expect that you will see a major announcement of a financial institution being sanctioned by the end of this week. So, Samira from Sky. Yep. No. No. Are you? No. I'm looking for Samira from Sky.
Sky News.
No. Hi.
Does the United States and President Trump still want Canada to become a state? He did say that they're getting all the benefits of being a state without being one.
I think he would like Canada to come to the table and negotiate in good faith. They were offered quite a good deal last week. They chose to reject it. Unfortunately, Prime Minister Carney rose to power on an anti-American, anti-Trump platform. I believe he was more than 20 points behind. And he seems to have gone back to his old playbook. And I think one has to ask oneself, is he trying to benefit himself, the Liberal Party, or the Canadian people? Because they were offered a very good job. So, yep, you.
Thank you, Secretary Besson. If I could shift to bond yields quickly. We saw them tick down today after some turbulence and going up last week. Can you tell us if there's any possibility that there will be more bond buybacks anytime soon?
Again, we haven't bought a single bond yet. The next time we have an operation is September 9th. So we will see on September 9th. All right. One more. Let's see. You in the front.
You described this as an economic D-Day, but D-Day wasn't a threat of an invasion, and the U.S. didn't give a timeline to Germany. So why not impose the sanctions today?
Well, we are giving everyone the opportunity to remedy bad behavior. Why would I?
He's telling them to pick a fucking side. Okay. It was very clear in his speech that, listen, in a way of helping Iran, you are stabbing America in the back, and we're not going to have it anymore. Okay. So he's telling people to pick a fucking side. Okay. These organizations that, these countries that are doing all these things in support of Iran, okay, you need to pick a fucking side. That simple. Pick a fucking side.
Want to blow up the global financial system. We believe that it is important to level set and give people a cure period, but they should know that will move very quickly and that we are serious. Secondary sanctions are a very powerful tool. And we here at Treasury, this is Gene Lang, the acting undersecretary for terrorism finance. And in the terrorism finance department and at OFAC, the reason we are able to use secondary sanctions is because we do not take their use lightly. So we believe that a warning shot and a level set of expectations is appropriate. And if people do not want to meet our expectations, then we expect, and they should expect, that will leave the dollar system. Okay, thank you all.
Yep, one across the bow, right? That's what they say. Give them one across the bow, right? If they continue, then you sink them. You sink them. So, yeah. But I wanted you to hear the whole thing, not just the snippets, because I thought that there was a lot of context to what he was talking, what his directive was, and he really broke it down really well. And sorry, it was all something that was clearly understandable. Okay. And then True Stormy Joe put this one up. Okay, now San Francisco 49ers Jed York arrested in prostitution bust. Okay. So it's post 2869. You can bet Q knew Kraft was on surveillance video. Just when Kraft got all liberal in the fake news. Keck Q. And then it goes on to say Super Bowl winners, puppy, sex, urban dictionary. Okay. Remember, we looked it up when that came up, right? But you knew that already. Hence why Adam Schiff, the Southern District of New York, what's her name, Maxine Waters, are attempting to keep the insurance scheme ongoing post-Mueller. Fear. The fun begins directly after. We'll make the Super Bowl look like a puppy show. Cute. All right. So there's a lot there. There's a lot there. But when I look at what happened in with this guy, Jed York, I got some questions. Here's a man who was arrested Sunday in East Palestine, Ohio. Okay. After authorities say he responded to a prostitution advertisement with the Mahoning Valley Human Trafficking Task Force involved in the operation. He was initially facing an engaging in prostitution charge, but by Monday, that charge had been reduced to a misdemeanor, all right, disorderly conduct. He pleaded no contest to that and possessing criminal tools, received one-day sentences accredited with time already served, and was fined $1,150. Now, I'm sitting here wondering if that had been somebody like me, somebody without millions of dollars, without an NFL franchise, without powerful connections, would my case have been wrapped up that quickly and that cleanly? Would I have walked away after one night and a fine, or would the system have treated me differently? Right? All right. And I'm not going to claim his money bought him a deal when I can't prove that. All right. What I want to know is something we actually ought to be able to answer. What happened to everybody else caught in these operations? All right. Give me the defendants with comparable charges and comparable criminal histories and show me their outcomes. All right. Did their prostitution charges get knocked down to disorderly conduct? Did they get time served and a fine? Did they have their cases resolved essentially overnight? Because if that routinely happens, then fair enough. Jed York got treated like everybody else. All right. But if ordinary working people caught under comparable circumstances, okay, received harsher treatments, then we've got another question to ask. Does justice really treat the rich and powerful the same way it treats us? All right. Until we have those comparisons, I'm not declaring an answer. All right. But I'm sure it's worth asking the question. You know, maybe I'm wrong to say that. Maybe I'm not. Okay. But if it was a guy like me who didn't have the money, didn't have the notoriety, okay, I'd be going to prison for 10 to 12 to 20 years. Just saying. Just saying. All right. Home sweet Haiti. On the latest deportation flight back to Haiti, we deported these dangerous criminals, including pedophiles, gang members, drug traffickers, and violent assailants. Yeah. So McIverson Jetton, a Zopound gang member, whose criminal history includes convictions for 4 counts of lewd and lascivious battery with a victim between the ages of 12 to 15 and sexual battery. Yeah. He's been here since 2006. How many victims? Yeah. Davidson Athis, an 88 Crush Mob gang member whose criminal history includes conviction for first-degree assault and arrest for conspiracy to commit assault, second-degree assault, fourth-degree burglary, second-degree fraud, drug possession, reckless endangerment, and more and more and more. And the list goes fucking on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Yeah, beautiful Haiti. Yeah. What did they do to that poor city? And then again, manhole people signing in Brooklyn, New York. It was reported that 67 people went down Brooklyn manhole at around 2 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. And then there's this. Ukraine doesn't exist anymore as well. It's a pretty good question.
I don't think Ukraine exists anymore. They just haven't told the Ukrainians yet. Mark my words. You might want to screenshot this because what I'm about to say isn't a theory in my mind. This is happening right now in real time. And one day everyone's going to look back and go, how did we not see that? I really don't want to do this video, but I have to. I also know this is going to be tough for a lot of you. So stay with me all the way to the end and maybe you'll see it too. As you may know, my wife is Ukrainian. Her family goes back generations in Ukraine. Real people, real roots, real history, and that fertile soil. And when we brought them here to safety, they thought they were escaping the war. What they didn't know is that the war came specifically to make them leave. They weren't casualties of the conflict. They were obstacles to it. Think about it for a second. If you wanted to take over a country, the land, the resources, the entire future of a place, but you couldn't just walk in and take it, what would you do? You'd fund tension. You'd arm people. You'd push until something ignites. And when it does, when the bombs are falling and the cameras are rolling, you don't send your guys in. You send their guys in. You make it their war. You make it about their honor. You stand at a podium 10 countries away and say, Slava Ukraini, to get the world behind you. And the love the Ukrainians have for their homeland, that becomes a weapon. Here's the deal in all this. They never wanted to win this war in the first place, because if they wanted to, they would have ended it. Peace was on the table early on. It got walked away from because the arming of those troops is a money machine, as you know. The destruction is a money machine, and the rebuilding contracts are already written. Money on the way down, money on the way back up. Real human beings treated as completely expendable. And for this to work, Ukraine couldn't just be weakened. It had to be emptied. The people had to go. The culture had to go. Because you can't move in and rebuild a place the way that you want to if the people who build it over centuries are still standing there. You know, parts of Ukraine right now are completely uninhabited, like ghost towns, villages where families lived for generations, empty and silent. And the men, they're dying in trenches while British, French, and German leaders go on television and say, we must fight to the last Ukrainian. And to everyone out there defending this out of ideology, every time you shut this conversation down, you're extending the war, the pain, suffering, robbery, and fraud. You're not defending Ukraine. You're defending the people who are erasing it. And here's the part that kept me up at night. The biggest enemy of Ukraine isn't even the corporations pulling the strings from boardrooms in London, Brussels, and Washington. You know who it is? It's people like Zelensky, who know exactly what's going on, who are still watching their own country get hollowed out in real time, and they're profiting from it handsomely, while their own people die in the mud. That's the man who chooses a side, and it wasn't Ukraine's. These are real people who we're talking about here, with centuries of history in that rich, fertile Ukrainian soil that everyone apparently wanted so badly. And they're almost gone, erased, not by an enemy that hated them, but by people who smiled at them, funded them, put them on a world stage and called them heroes, and then used every last drop of their love for their homeland to get exactly what serves them. I don't think anyone can stop it anymore. I think it's already done. And the saddest part, most Ukrainians still don't even see it. I got to tell you, what's happening in Europe and many other places is the prelude to what's coming to America if we don't start taking America back. Go to jointab.us, read about what we're doing, about taking local governments back so this doesn't happen in our country. Jointab.us.
Interesting. Washington's Examiner, President Donald Trump's Secretary of State Marco Rubio should have the final say when U.S. diplomats and other foreign service employees appeal their firings or discipline, according to Justice Department legal guidance issued Friday. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that whole thing. I'm not going to go into that one. It's getting really hot. I'm going to have to get the dogs down to the creek here. We're already at 95. And that's what I'm going to do right now, is I'm going to get the dogs out. I may come back on again tonight, depending on how the weather goes. And yeah. I'm like dripping sweat. My t-shirt is actually soaked, and I'll keep an eye on the news, and maybe we'll do another evening podcast, and with that, remember, God loves you, Jesus loves you, and I love you. We will see you again either later tonight or tomorrow. I got enough fuel for 2 days, tomorrow and the day after. If anybody feels like buying me dinner, feel free to do so, and I will talk to you guys later. Remember, between now and then, to keep your head on a swivel. All right, and we will see you then.
Woke up this morning to a world on fire. Everybody shouting, climbing walls of wire. Fear on the TV, lies across the screen. Hard to know these days what anything means. But I hear my Father's voice down in my soul. Stand up straight, don't let the darkness take control. Love your neighbor, hold the line, stay alive. Open up your eyes and let your spirit drive. Don't let the noise pull you under. Don't lose your heart in the thunder. Keep your head on a swivel, keep your eyes on the light. There's still love in the middle of the fight tonight. When the road gets narrow and the world feels cold, keep your heart wide open and never let go. Keep your head on a swivel, but your soul on the rise. There's a whole lot of beauty still left in these eyes. Yeah, the world may shake, but we're not gonna break. We were born for more than survival. Little old lady waving from a porch swing. Kids on the sidewalk still learning to dream. Somebody praying in the middle of pain. Somebody dancing in the pouring rain. There's still good people helping strangers stand. Still working hard with calloused hands. Still holding family, still holding faith. Still finding hope when it all feels late. Don't let the fear define you. There's still a fire inside you. Keep your head on a swivel, keep your eyes on the light. There's still love in the middle of the fight tonight. When the road gets narrow and the world feels cold, keep your heart wide open and never let go. Keep your head on a swivel, but your soul on the rise. There's a whole lot of beauty still left in these eyes. Yeah, the world may shake, but we're not gonna break. We were born for more. from the dust and the stars. Oh, even when shadows fall, love is still the strongest thing of all. Keep your head on a swivel, don't lose your grace. Every scar tells a story, every soul has a place. And if somebody stumbles, you help them stand tall. That's the kind of strength that can heal us all. Keep your head on a swivel, keep your faith alive. There's still hope for tomorrow as long as we try. Yeah, the world may change,